episode. It's very exciting. We're doing phase 1 of Steve's 2012 GT Mustang Aerospace Components project car. Stay tuned for more and check us out on this install.
First thing we have to do is remove the factory components off of the vehicle. On this car we utilize the bottom caliper mounting hole and the top dust shield hole to mount the bracket, and this is where we're going to also have to cut the original caliper ear off. Open up the bottom caliper mounting hole with a 1/2 inch reamer or 1/2 inch drill bit. The top will utilize a 5/16 bit to open up the hole. Make sure you go to depth of the threads that you will be using. Next, tap the hole to a 3/8/16. Make sure you use plenty of oil or tapping fluid. And also check to make sure you are tapping straight. Blow out the hole of any tapping debris. We will now mock the caliper bracket up to show exactly where we need to cut. Using a sawzall and a new blade, we're easily able to cut the original caliper mounting ear right off. Next, using a grinder, you can clean up where you cut off the original caliper ear. Then, a little bit of paint to protect. We will now get ready to mount the caliper bracket. It is very important you clean the bolts that we provide with acetone and blow dry. Also, during this step, you can take the rotor to hat bolts and place them in some acetone and let them soak until we're ready to use them. Clean out the top hole with brake cleaner acetone and use compressed air to blow out the threads. For this application, we'll use a little bit of red Loctite on the top bolt only. Make sure when threading this down against the bracket, it is fully tight against the bracket. The bottom hole, we use the 1/2 inch flathead bolt provided with the washer and the nylock on the back side to secure. There will also be some spacers used on this kit between the bracket and the spindle. Coming back to our low head bolts, you can now take them out of the acetone, wipe them down, blow them off, make sure they're completely clean, and now you're ready to attach the rotor hat to the rotor. I will also clean the threads on the rotor hat just to make sure there's no oil or any contaminants. Using a little bit of red Loctite on each bolt and also the wrench provided, secure the bolts into the rotor hat. I took this opportunity to weigh the factory rotor and hat combo against the aerospace rotor and hat combo and saw there was almost 10 pounds of savings. Slide the hat and rotor onto the factory hub. We are now going to mock up the caliper and see if it's going to need any shims. When mocking up the caliper to check for spacing, make sure to use a lug nut to secure the hat tightly against the hub. In this picture, you can see we need to shim the caliper towards the inside of the vehicle. How we will do this is use one of the flat shims provided in between the bracket and the caliper. With the flat shim in place, you can now see that the caliper is centered over the rotor. Once the caliper is centered over the rotor, use the flat washer and the lock washer on the caliper bolts provided with a little bit of blue Loctite and go ahead and snug everything down. Next, we will put the pads into the caliper, remove the pin pad bolt, and place the pads into the caliper. Make sure they drop in on each side of the rotor easily and you're not forcing the pad into the caliper. Next, tighten up the pin pad bolt on the caliper. You do not need to over tighten this. And there it is. You've now installed an aerospace kit on your S197 Mustang. The only thing left to do would be attaching a line and bleeding the brakes.
It's as simple as that. A brake install. for our 4-piston front billet aluminum Pro Street brake kit. Thanks for joining us today at Kimmy's Garage, and I'll see you again soon.